Let us now have a closer look at the organs of the ventilation system. And over here, an overview picture. Over here, a more detailed picture of the so-called alveoli, which you cannot see in this drawing over here on the left side because they're quite small. So I'm just going to label all of these things here. This one over here, this part going all the way from the throat down all the way into the lungs is called the trachea, also known as the windpipe. But trachea is the term that you should know. Windpipe is also a term which is sometimes used. You see that the windpipe over here splits up into two parts over here, and this one here is referred to as the right bronchus because seen from the person's view it's on the right side, and this one over here of course must be the left bronchus. Then further down over here you see that the two bronchi, bronchus is singular, bronchi is plural, the bronchi, they subdivide and split up into so-called bronchioles. And they're already quite small, and at the very end over here, not shown because they're too small, you have the alveoli, which are over here, which is drawn over here on the right side. Now this brown structure over here, that's a muscle, and this muscle is known as the diaphragm. When it contracts, you inhale, you breathe in, the diaphragm moves downwards, the lung volume increases, and the low air pressure drops and the air moves in. So, but that's something I'm going to explain in more detail later. Something that I have not drawn over here, which is not included, are the ribs. And the ribs in cross section are sometimes drawn of like this, like these little oval structures, and I'm not going to draw all of them. And between these ribs in here, you have the so-called the intercostal muscles, which I'm also going to explain later. So these over here are the ribs, and between the ribs over here, I'm going to draw a line up here, you have the so-called the intercostals. And there are two types of them, and they're used for forced inhaling and exhaling. Unfortunately, the picture, nice as it is, did not show these important muscles here. Let's move over to the right side. Over here, we see a pretty enlarged drawing of alveoli, or one alveolus. Alveoli is the plural, alveolus the singular, and you see that it has it looks a little bit like grapes, and surrounding the alveoli you see these tiny blood vessels, which are the blood capillaries, and the arrows in here should indicate that the air moves into the alveoli and out of the alveoli over this opening, so the bronchioles, they attach to this opening. You have two blood vessels, one of them carrying oxygenated blood, that's the red one. We always use red for indicating oxygenated blood, and a blue one which carries deoxygenated blood or CO2 rich blood. And this one is the pulmonary artery. It comes from the heart, carrying blood to the lungs, to the alveoli, and the red blood vessel is the pulmonary vein, which carries oxygenated blood back to the heart. Now, something very important. It might surprise you a little bit that a vein, which is in many cases are shown being colored blue, in this case is colored red, because veins and arteries are not defined on whether they carry oxygenated or deoxygenated blood, but they are defined on whether they carry blood away or towards the heart. So here we have a vein which carries oxygenated blood back to the heart, and the pulmonary artery which carries deoxygenated blood to the alveolus. So that is basically, these are the important parts of the ventilation system, and you should be able to draw probably a slightly more simplified version of the ventilation system. And before I stop, I would just like to show you a drawing which many students actually make, but which is not a very good drawing. So when they draw the left and the right lungs, they often draw the trachea like this, and then they draw the left and the right bronchus, and they draw it like this. Yeah, they basically and then they draw the lungs around it like that, and that is a really bad drawing. Because you do not see the left and the right bronchus. It looks like everything is one space over here. You should really draw it properly and make sure that the left and the right bronchus they branch and not simply have something looking like a star or a flower over here. That is not a good drawing. Make sure that you draw it like this. Okay, so that was basically the overview over the ventilation system.